Hi guys, I'm super excited today. I have some really special guests. Today I am going to be interviewing the owners of Pro Scion Training here in Ocala. So if you have dogs and you're looking for training, then this might be the place for you. And there's a couple little hidden secrets that they have here too. So let's dive in. All right guys, so how are you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing good. All right, well, go ahead and introduce yourselves and then what you do and why you do it.
All right. So I'm Stephanie. I am originally from Baltimore City. I've been training about 18 years. I carry 8 national or international dog training accreditations. Yeah, I'm the lead trainer here. You want to talk about who you are?
Owner.
Oh yeah, I'm the owner too.
Yeah, that's a thing.
It's so weird still.
I'm Jessica, also from Maryland, and yeah, we've been running Person for, like you said, like 13 years, 12, 13 years.
Okay, so since you're the lead trainer, do you want to tell us like how you got into training? I know we kind of talked about it before, but just you feel free to go in as depth as you want to or not.
My first dog that I got and I was going to be responsible for training and vetting was a Labradoodle named Bendigo Athanasius.
What a name!
So I got Abby, and of course it's important to get training. I knew that. So I took her to some classes, and she was awful. I mean, just chewed through leashes, chewed through another dog's leash in class, would bark, would bite, would jump. So we finished our level 1 and our level 2, and at that point, my mentor trainer said to me, "Hey, you're really good with difficult dogs. Have you ever thought about becoming a dog trainer?" So I thanked her for complimenting me and insulting my dog all in one, and I started training. And Annette was an amazing mentor, and she ended up helping me out with other things. My mom had a lupus with some other autoimmune diseases, and one day my mom fell and she was on the floor for about 4 hours. And no one knew because we were all, school, work, whatever. And I had talked to Annette about it and how upsetting that was. And so she taught me how to teach Abby how to get my mom up off the floor. And moms, bragging as they will, would tell her friends that, my daughter taught our dog to pick up things and hand it to me when I dropped them, to help me if I fall on the floor. So her friends were like, well, can you help me teach my dog to do X or to do Y? And so that's how Procyon branched out from just basic obedience into service work. And then I met Jess when I was working with a company, and we moved down here about 13 years ago and 12 years ago. And then we started doing just in-homes, a lot of behavioral. Abby had a lot of some behavioral issues, so I've worked with that. So we learned how to deal with reactivity and resource guarding and food aggression. And so I was doing kind of helping people out with that. And then about 3 years ago, we decided to try to make this a full-time thing, and we haven't looked back since.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's very many dog training. Like, there's a couple that I can think of, but not very many in Ocala that I can specifically think of. So I'm sure you guys really especially the area that you're into is I think pretty solid, especially with all the new construction that's
There's a
being built.
lot of new construction, yeah, a lot of new apartment buildings. I think one of the things that makes us different than a lot of the traditional training companies is we are relationship based. We are consent informed, meaning we don't use compulsion to train. We don't make the dogs do something to train. And I think that comes with the experience of working with a lot of behavioral and aggression cases. We find that a lot of times when we're dealing with aggression, we're actually dealing with pain. There's an underlying medical condition. So we're not going to use compulsion to get it done. We're going to figure out why that's happening.
What's the root?
What's the root of it?
Find out what the root is, not just try to fix the symptoms.
Yeah. So we're very relationship based. We want our students to build a strong relationship with their dogs. We do that with through clear communication. So we're kind of sticklers. If you take classes with us, we're really particular about the words and when you use them and how you use them, to make sure we're not sending our dogs mixed messages. That's also with our board and train. We run a board and train program.
Okay.
When the dogs complete the program, the owners have to do a 6-week course with us.
Which is included in the board and train.
Yeah, it's included in the price. It's not like a new price. It's included in there. But we know that if you send a dog away for training, the training will hold for about 6 weeks without any upkeep. After that, the training will fade. And if you think about it, like kids going to school, the end of the year, they'll remember things. By the time August runs around, you have to review a lot because they've lost it. It's the same thing. So with our board and trains, we set up your board and train date to end when your class is going to begin. And that way you then spend 6 weeks with us learning what your dog already knows. It allows us to offer behavioral interventions. If things are starting to creep back in, we can help with that. But it really helps solidify the training so the pet parents know the skills and the words and the techniques we use.
No, it's super important. My dad actually used to train police dogs at one
Mhm.
point, so I've been around all of that. And we had a couple different dogs throughout my childhood, and I used to. We had one German Shepherd, and he was super great. I love Deacon, top of the line dog, super cool. And I trained him to do all kinds of different things. So he had like obstacle courses and on lead and off lead behavioral, and he used to really like to like he was supposed to be used for a bomb sniffing dog, but he ended up being car sick, so he could not continue with the police force to do that because he wasn't a mean dog. He wasn't going to be a dog that did a lot of bite work. He was just not that dog. Um, but it was really cool to do all of that. So I do know like how important it is to have a really good relationship with your dog. If you really don't build that, I think with any animal, it's like even with you with horses, if you don't build that bond, you don't have like anything to run off of. I think. If I don't correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but
I mean, that's definitely our philosophy, is that we want people to be connected with the dog. So we say we're not a company where it's I'm human, you dog, you do what I say. It's truly a team endeavor.
yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. So I kind of want to back up just a smidge bit. I know you talked about how your dog was super terrible. What kind of dog did you have?
It's a Labradoodle.
Okay,
Like
Labrador.
the original Labradoodles when they just first came on the scene. I got it from a pet store, which I didn't know any better. It was 18 years ago. Please don't come at me. I didn't know any better.
Come at it.
I got her. She was 4 months old, and she looked like the love child of all the dogs I grew up with as a kid. I mean, so that's why we got her. But being 4 months and spending her whole life, and we ended up finding out where she came from, and it was a puppy mill in Arkansas, and she was shipped up to Maryland to the pet store. So we got her, but it took 3 people to brush her. Like one person to hold a spoon of peanut butter for her to lick, one person to brush, and one person to yell clear because she would come out and bite. Like she was a handful.
Sweet.
But once we again built a relationship, she was a fantastic dog.
Yeah, no, I think any dog can become a fantastic dog. So it kind of leads me into I know that's like the big trend, lab or doodles, some doodle of some
Yes,
sort.
the doodles, yes.
And I, as somebody that has had a lot of poodles and I've been around a lot of standard poodles, I don't think people they like view like the cute little fluffy poodle, but like standard poodles can be kind of like crazy.
Yes.
They're like very hyper, very intense, are sometimes not very nice. Like you name it, I feel like standard poodles can be it, and so it doesn't ever go very well. So at least it can. I've met some that are really nice, but some of them are like spastic crazies.
Mhm.
But that leads me into me asking you, what are some of your favorite dog breeds, and then some dog breeds that you definitely like would not recommend? I feel like you would be one that any dog breed could be great, but what's your thoughts on that?
I think it's really going to depend on what you're looking for and what your situation is. So our breed of choice is obviously Blue Heeler. We have
Too many.
too many of them.
They told me how many earlier.
Yeah, but they're one of the top 2 smartest breeds. The joke is if you ask a border collie person the 2 smartest dogs, they'll say border collie healer. If you ask a healer person, they'll say healer border collie. I personally think healers top out a little bit more with intelligence because they were bred to work away from humans, so they have a little more intelligent disobedience. But it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're someone that is a homebody, I wouldn't recommend a healer or Malinois or a shepherd or border collie. If you're someone that really likes going hiking, then yeah, definitely go for that. So I think you have to really kind of look at what is gonna fit for your particular situation. I loved Abby as my Labradoodle. She was a great first dog. And then Jess got me Penny as a Christmas gift. Penny will be 12 or 13 in November.
Because you fell in love
And
with
yeah, so I love the healers. Their size, their stamina. I used to be his teacher. He'd go to school with me. He would fit right underneath my desk. When I've had to travel, he's great. So yeah, so I like this breed. But we have friends that love Mals. We have friends that love Shepherds. So it really depends on what you're.
I feel like the healer is just the pocket redneck Malinois.
I mean, honestly, I really like blue healers, like they're like any of the healers. Like because we had one and he was really great. Ranger was he's so smart and so could be kind of aloof and a little bit temperamental at times, but outside of that, super great dog. Probably one of the other better dogs that we had outside of the shepherd that I've had. Because I grew up like on a farm, like I had mentioned, so we had a slew of different dogs and Anatolian shepherds and Pyrenees and all kinds of big dogs and little dogs too. I grew up with poodles, but so how about just for like the normal American family that has like maybe one or two kids, is probably living in one of those new construction houses that are over here. I feel like sometimes they buy those like Great Pyrenees or like the
Yeah,
Labradoodles.
I'd say do your research.
Okay.
Really do research. It's funny
Don't
because
go
you
for
say
looks.
yeah, it's funny like you say normal, and I'm like normal is the setting on the washing machine or the dryer, right? That's the phrase.
Well, I guess for me, I'm more saying like average. Like, so I would say most people that I deal with are probably like two people. I can give a scenario. So like two people that usually are working during the day, getting home maybe somewhere between 3:30 to 5:30. Maybe they have one or two kids. Maybe middle-aged children. I would say that's usually who's moving here. Like I said, like maybe 5 to 10-year-olds, somewhere in there, 1 to 2 children, and they are living in a smaller home. Maybe they do like to go outdoors, but not a ton. What you got any? Does that kind of maybe help?
Again, I'm just saying
No?
like all the potential possibilities because if your kids are really involved in sports and you're doing a lot with sports, maybe a dog isn't a great fit right now because if you're getting home at 5 and then kids are eating dinner and then you're going to sports and then you have homework and you're not getting home till 9, that dog isn't getting a lot of. Now, if you're like one of the clients that works with our daycare, their dogs get dropped off in the morning and they get picked up right after school with the kids, that would be different. And then you'd also have to consider allergies. And we work with a lot of people on the spectrum of,
Okay.
so I'm probably just overthinking it, but like I would really, stop it. I do, I overthink.
I mean, I guess like outside of Blue Heeler, like what are some other of your favorite dog breeds or how about this, that are well-rounded breeds?
Okay,
Let's put it that way.
Not a healer.
Yeah, no, not a healer.
So for families, I would say
So labs,
Goldens, you're real kind of traditional family dogs. So for me, it's not really about how big the home environment is, it's how much exercise you can give a dog. So I wouldn't necessarily say someone living in an apartment can't have a heel, right? Because if they're a runner or if one family that has a healer and the son does cross country, so when he's doing his cross country, he takes the dog with his cross country training. So yeah, I mean, I would say those.
Okay.
Anything that's been made in a movie in the last 15 years, don't get. So like, the Malinois came out and we worked with 8 different rescues. So many Malinois were dumped after those movies. 101 Dalmatians, so many Dalmatians were dumped. So I would say really look at, and then also just the size if you're going to travel, right? So if you're traveling and you have a minivan with 3 kids, a German Shepherd may not be the best fit. You may want to get something that's a little bit smaller that can fit more easily into that space. I've seen a lot of Boykin Spaniels, which I wouldn't normally think is a family dog, but they actually fit in really well with a nice active family.
Okay, no, I like that. That's kind of what I was looking for. Just kind of like a general, like what your thoughts are. Because I would kind of back up. Malinois are like, I know they got like super popular there for like the longest time. What movie had them in it?
I think it was a Tatum Channing movie.
Okay, I can't even think
He's
of
a
the movie.
veteran, and like the dog is awful. It's a military dog, and he does all this training to save it. Or the kid's dad was the handler, and the kid's dad died, or so the kid's training something.
Okay.
I don't know. Clearly, I don't go to the movies.
I don't even know what movie you're talking about either. I do know that there was that trend, and I mean, Malinois are absolutely phenomenal dogs. Like they can do the craziest things. My dad, when he trained police dogs, of course, he dealt with a lot of Malinois, and the things that they would do versus any other dog. And my dad had like Bomston. They had a lot of different dogs that he dealt with. The things that they would do, it's just unbelievable. Awesome working dogs, super impressive. Like I see videos of them, and it's just like mind blowing. Super. Healers are pretty cool too. They'll do some pretty cool things too.
Yeah, and he's kind of actually a little more down-keyed than a lot of our healers. So he's my service dog, so he's kind of used to this. Oh, great, we're gonna just lay here and chew him the top. And then the other thing is, I would say check out shelters.
Okay.
Like, go to shelters, because like we have a dog right now that's up for adoption. He's great with dogs. He's great with kids. He's good with cats. I don't know why he's not adopted yet. Cute little boy. So,
What kind of dog is he?
He's a brindle pit mix.
Okay.
We have Banshee. Banshee, I think they said, is a husky Malinois mix.
Oh, boy.
Smart dog. Already earned a trick title. I mean,
Okay.
she's really great. If you're a family looking for a dog, also don't rule out just going to shelters. A lot of the shelters, I know Animal Services has a foster program where you can foster for a little bit to see how they work out. And sadly, go to the shelters in January, February, because all those puppies that people get at Christmas break, they end up pushing to shelters. So, I would say also just don't get hung up on a breed. Go see what's out there, because the Cosmo's a fantastic dog. Banshee's a great dog.
Mutts are probably the best breed.
Mutts definitely usually have less health issues too.
They do have a lot less health issues.
Typically, not always, but
Yeah.
a lot of times. I think the reason why the pit thing is hard because there's so, like, if you're renting, it is so hard for me to find
Mhm.
anything that will accept a dog at all. Like any kind of dog. It doesn't even matter
Well-
if it's a Labrador.
Yeah, and not to plug anything in particular, but Cantor Apartments has no breed restriction.
Yes, I've heard that.
Because we were just there 2 months ago doing
Yeah.
a meet the tree. Who is that? Mox! So Mox was actually born here. His mom was a street walking dog that got.
Should have named her Roxanne.
Should name her Roxanne. I don't know if you're gonna have to edit that out later.
I will. I'll probably leave it.
Yeah.
If you're okay with that.
Yeah, no, it was fine. Wait till we call
Her
her.
mom named her Ula because she
Ula.
walked around. Ooh la
La.
la.
But shelters are so full. So Ohar, one of the rescues that we work with, said if you can whelp her out, we'll cover everything. And so they were literally born. And now what is our grooming salon? And they were whelped out. And so Mox was adopted by a guy that works next door at Sepra. And so he gets dropped off every day for daycare and then gets picked up after work. Our daycare
For shame.
runs Monday through Friday. And we drop off between 7 and 9, pickups between 4 and 6. We do earlier drop offs and later pickups. We do offer them. We have several vet techs and teachers that drop off earlier because they've got to get to work. Jess runs our daycare.
They're wild.
Yeah. And we have as an option to training. So some people like Tig comes for daycare and he gets a training session. So Ricci, same thing, train daycare and then gets a training session. And usually those training sessions will be things like they're running out the door or they're jumping, like things that I can easily address in a few training sessions versus, the
Complicated.
whole roundabout of level 1 skills.
You guys aren't originally from here, so what do you think about? Do you guys like living in Ocala? It's changed a lot, I'm sure, in the last 13 years since you guys have lived here. Because it'd be 13 years. Yeah. Okay.
So I grew up in Baltimore City.
Okay.
It's a big change.
Like Baltimore inner city.
Okay.
By Camden Yards. Like I can speak the Baltimore accent.
Don't you dare.
I won't embarrass you. But yeah, so moving here at first was really hard. And gas stations closed. Gas station, that doesn't happen in Baltimore. So when I would have, when I get really homesick, we would go to Barnes and Noble because they all look the same. And so that was, I think probably the first year and a half was really hard to just kind of get used to that kind of stuff. People making eye contact, that was weird. That was definitely weird.
Talking to you.
People just, being friendly. I don't know what that was about. That was definitely a big thing.
Yeah. Big change, I'm sure. Now, do you guys still like Ocala? It's changed a lot. Like we were just talking about up the street, there's a lot of new construction. We got Fast up the street now. I mean, it's a totally different place.
That's the joke because we bought a house and there was maybe 4 houses kind of in our area, and now there's more of these houses, and I'm like, we've got to move. She's like, what happened to you? Like, you used to be, now I'm only going to live in a row home in the city, and now like 3 more houses pop up, and you're ready to like,
we're out.
Move. I think it's good. I think like in general with all types of life, it grows really fast, and then everything has to catch up, and I think there's just been one thing after another, and it's hard for us to catch up with what's going on. But
I miss a lot of big thoroughbred farms, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
I do miss,
there's still a few out where we're at, but They're very segmented and getting fewer and far between.
I will say this that most people don't know is the northern section of Marion County, which is like Anthony, Zuber, like all that up there. That is all protected farmland, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So I will say, at least in Marion County, we will always have that, especially with WEC doing with everything that they're doing too. Good Lord, to help us all. Which is they own like an ungodly amount of property.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy how much they own.
World Equestrian Center,
Yeah.
Golden Ocala, the Ocala Jockey Club.
I know, it's crazy.
And I think they bought Classic Mile, didn't they?
They did, yeah. They've
Yeah.
bought, I mean, I don't know. They own several
Because
hundred.
that's right across from our house,
Mhm.
basically.
I mean, I'd say the nice thing though is all like it's definitely bumped up our property value. So that'll help when we're ready
Yeah.
to actually get further away from humankind.
I feel that. Yeah, no,
it'll
I
help.
get it.
Yeah.
I know. I live in a regular neighborhood now, and let's see, since I was 13, I lived on at least 2 or 3 acres with no neighbors around. And in college, I lived close to people, of course, but like on my own, I live in a normal neighborhood. And sometimes I just want to pull my hair out because I just don't like being that close to people. It's kind of, I don't know. Once you've been there, lived any kind of life like that, like I talk about all the time, like, can we just like move out to the woods? Like, I don't care if we have a smaller house. Like, I'm just over dealing with people.
I tell her all the time I want more land, and we don't even have to do anything with it. It's just more space.
Yeah. No, a lot of people that are moving here often, that is a big thing for them for sure. Now, this is gonna be very off topic and very random, but I did want to ask, like, because we had mentioned this before, like, what are some maybe simple tips, like training tips maybe people could do if they get a new puppy or if they want to take their dog somewhere, something, just like some general tips that you would give somebody.
In general, don't. Right. So between 8 and 12 weeks, do not take your dog everywhere. Okay. Developmentally, puppies go through 2 fear periods in their life. The first one is between 8 and 12 weeks. And that is literally when mom is moving the puppies from the whelping den to the secondary den. And as she's moving one dog at a time, Mother Nature, however you want to refer to it, has programmed those dogs to be very fearful so they don't leave the den while mom is transported. And that's to keep them safe. So the downside or my point to that is anything that scares them at that age can scare them forever. So 8 to 12 weeks, we won't take them in our group classes because again, and it could be that a car honking at their car on the way here. Now they're going to be afraid of the car, afraid of whatever. That would be a big thing. It's just, and then also when you socialize your puppy, that does not mean letting your puppy get touched by everything, meeting every dog. That's not what socialization is. Socialization is getting them out to see the world,
Not actually interact.
not necessarily actually, so Gator here as a puppy would go out and he would see things and we'd take a clicker and we'd treat every time something happened. But our dogs are not allowed to greet other dogs in public, even our own dogs. Right? So she meets me up, we go to like Panera later, and I have Gator with me, and she brings her service dog. Even though they live together, they're not allowed to greet. When they're on leash, they're working. Their job is to pay attention to the person holding the leash. If your dog's not a service dog, don't take it places that it doesn't belong. And I'm not saying that from the human perspective. The temperament needed to have a well-balanced service dog is very special. And I don't think people always understand the stress that they're putting their dogs under by just taking them everywhere because it makes them feel better or just because they think it's okay, they're not going to get in trouble. It's really stressful for dogs. Dogs instinctually have a home environment. They don't tend to leave. So again, if it's not a service dog, don't take it everywhere for the dog's well-being, not for anything else, but just we've seen dogs kind of brought into places that aren't pet friendly, that have freaked out. They've peed, they've pooped, they've run away, they've gotten away from their handlers. It's just, advocate for your dogs.
No, I definitely agree with you. Dogs are, I mean, when you put them in a new environment, even if the best dog, I mean, unless they're like service trained where they're like used to being in different situations, but even sometimes then, like they can be unpredictable. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes they don't like certain people. Sometimes like you're talking about, if you take your dog everywhere, they may have a fear of somebody that has a hat on for whatever odd reason. And then that person walks next to you and that person gets bit. Now you got a whole disaster on your hands. I used to work at Home Depot. And when I worked there, dogs either really love me or they really hate me. I'm like that person, so I don't know why, but I'm just one of those people. And so they ended up having a dog almost bite me. And I'm like, you really need to move that dog away from me because I'm going to get bit. And if you want me to help you with the self checkout machine, you need to like back up. He's going to bite me.
Yeah. When you're training in public, don't drop leash. I know it looks cool on TikTok and Facebook Reels when you show all these. There are leash laws, and your dog may be great, but like I said, he was attacked. He and I were both attacked by an Akita up north. If he had been off leash, he would have gone the other way, right? So just because your dog has a great sit stay or down stay, and I see all these videos, people like, look at us at home. You said Home Depot, which remind, look at us at Home Depot. You're 12 feet away from your dog. If you're 12 feet away from your dog, you're 12 feet away from protecting your dog. Maybe a year ago, a pit bull was attacked by a Chihuahua who was at Home Depot or Lowe's.
Always Home Depot or Lowe's.
Dog got out and went after the pit bull, and of course everyone's screaming at the pit bull. The pit bull was on leash doing, it was just at the checkout, and this dog got away from the owner and went at him. So just because your dog has that fantastic sit stay or down stay, which I love that people work that and get to that. I don't know, for me, I would never want to put my dog at risk, and having seen him attacked so many times, to me, it's just not worth the risk.
Not to mention the amount of time it took afterwards to like
undo it.
Yeah. And to make sure that he could still be a service dog.
No, I 100% get that. We used to go camping sometimes, and like I said, we had that German Shepherd, and he was like I think a year old, and he ended up getting attacked. We were just walking through, but he ended up getting attacked by some pit bull that got off somebody's leash, and we were just walking, like letting him go to the bathroom, and after that, Deacon no longer could be around any animal, any dog on a leash. He would like immediately go and try to attack them. So it became like we only took him because we were gone for a long period of time. My parents really didn't like to take dogs with them, but we just so happened to be going for a week, like during Thanksgiving. So we did. And it was like, after that, it was like a complete disaster, and it was not fun to try to like kind of get him to be okay, but he really wasn't ever fully okay. So it was just kind of like, it made it to where we couldn't even really it was hard taking him to the vet. It like caused so many issues, and people don't think about like the repercussions of like their actions, and also like just not understanding like their dog in general. Like I don't care about the dog breed, it could be anything, and it could still be dog aggressive, and if you don't know that and let it do whatever it wants to do, then you're really causing problems for somebody else to have to deal with long term.
Yeah, I also find that a lot of times I don't want to say like legitimate or illegitimate, but people really do rely upon service dogs for their medical needs. A lot of those people also have PTSD over the fact that there could be other dogs that are not up to par when it comes to being in places where they should be. So, because it's funny, her and I, whenever we take either any of our animals out for service training, we're always looking for what's in the environment and what could be another dog and what could be a threat for our service animal to keep them safe. So I think that's a big thing we've talked about with a lot of people who have their own service animal, is having to constantly be on guard for other people and other random dogs in the environment.
Which I think is really sad, because I mean, service dogs are absolutely phenomenal. They do some really the things that you can get them to, that you can get dogs to do, whether it be like you're talking about like allergy sniffing, like that's a huge thing that's become more common, and all kinds of, like I've seen a lot of different things. I think as people's needs have changed and stuff like that, or become more maybe more talked about. I just think it's super cool, and it saddens me that we just can't get it together. Because I mean, sometimes they're crazy. I mean, like I've seen them like in the villages or in crowds, and like how they guide and how they do it. It's just like super phenomenal to watch dog work. I really love watching it. I love seeing that. I think it's special and interesting. So at the very end of my interview, I always ask if you were going to give advice to somebody looking to do something similar to what you do, what would you tell them?
Apprentice with someone. So dog training is an unregulated industry, right? So anyone can say they're a dog trainer. That's why whenever I introduce myself, I talk about the credentials that I have. And it's not just like a brag, but it's the way I show my community that I'm committed to keeping up to date with, because the field of training, whether it's human education or aquatic training or mammalian training or big cat training, it's always developing. Apprentice. get with a trainer, because you can do the online books and you can learn everything, but it's completely different living it. We live this literally 24/7. You know, we're here every night, we're here overnight. We make sure the dogs that are being boarded here are safe overnight. I use a service dog, so obviously I live and breathe it in two different realms. Um, I mean, look into accredited programs definitely, but apprentice with it, like kind of get your feet wet, really know, and then also kind of have an idea of where you want to go, because people like in the 70s, you were just a dog trainer, right? You just did dog obedience, but we do service training, we do nose work, we're doing parkour, we're doing canine conditioning, we're doing cooperative care, we're doing bed bug detection with our deaf dogs, because we have 2 deaf dogs. So
Starting search and rescue.
we're starting search and rescue with 2 of our dogs. You know, do you want to train deaf dogs? We're working with a deaf blind dog. Do you want to work with that? So
We have a paraplegic over there.
yes, we have a dog that's a pair. So really look at it. It's such a vast and wide industry, and it's funny because my other trainer, Mary, who's not with us right now, she's working in-home clients. She started as a client. She did dog training. She did in homes with one of her dogs, and then she did dog clearing class. And I've had people, you know, kids are like, "Well, I want to be a dog trainer," and parents are like, "Well, how are you going to survive on that?" Well, knock on wood, we've been surviving really nicely for the last 18 years. And
We've got 7 people surviving.
yeah, we're not rich, we're not rolling it, but we're able to live the life that we love, and that's really huge. So I would say really look at it's not to compare it to like medical school, because I'm sure the doctors will love that, but right, when someone's going to be a doctor, almost everyone says, what kind of doctor, right? It's acknowledged that there's a width and depth to that industry or that profession. It's the same thing with dog training. Some people love doing in-homes. Yeah, trick training. We do trick training. Gator's got several trick titles. So kind of really look at the expanse of it and have fun. I love my job. I have fun. I love doing it every day. Someone said, if you love your job, you never work a day in your life. That is not true. I don't know why people say that, because we work, but I get the idea. But I love it. Have fun. Make sure it's something that you're going to want to do every day.
You know, it's definitely not an easy job. It's a lot of work, a lot of manual work.
People training. I tell people all the time that we're actually people trainers. It's just rude to put that on the shirt. But that's what we do.
I think to go back to with what you said, I think knowing what type you want to do, because I think people think like dog training is like basic obedience training, and in reality, like you could train police dogs, you could train search and rescue, you could train you could service dogs. There's so many like avenues that you could do in training outside of just regular obedience training.
Yeah, which is still great.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
but I just think that people, I think, like you said, like, what are you going to do? It's like if your kid says you want to do that, like, what do you want to do? So there's a lot of options there.
So many.
And then there's so many sports.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the sports. Yeah, so you have
we can talk
obedience,
about
rally,
fly ball, dock diving.
I know that dock diving thing seems to be. I saw they had like some event recently.
So yeah, cool. We can plug this. So Ocala Dog Ranch, you should do an interview with them. That's Sally and Neil. They're fantastic. They're great.
I think they're on my page because
Neil, you owe me a beer, okay? I'm plugging you guys. You owe me a beer. They actually were just with us last month to talk about dock diving.
Okay.
And we met them because they were doing toss and fetch, and we were doing frisbee with our dogs. Yeah, so they have all of that. You have all these sports that you can do. So bike touring is a lot of fun.
What is that?
So it's like urban mushing.
Oh, okay.
So our dogs love that. I do canicross with our dogs.
Okay.
So we run, and there's that's its own sport.
That's not a sport.
Paddleboarding. I mean, we talked about earlier what dogs, if you like being on the water, get a dog that likes gator paddleboards. He'll be on my board, he'll get hot, and he'll jump off, and he'll swim across and get on Jess's board.
Or he'll just yeet his way right.
Yeah, and then when he gets too hot, he cools off and swims back. So yeah, I mean, herding has its own.
Yeah.
So it's really just insane agility, what you can do.
It is.
And so yeah,
barn hunt.
Barn hunt.
Barn hunt's fun.
What's that?
It's they hide basically rats in a little cage.
Okay.
And amongst a bunch of hay bales in
Okay.
a barn
And they
situation.
have to find it?
Yeah, and they have to find
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Fast cat.
Fast cat, yep.
What is
Weight
that?
pooling. Fast cat, that's the chasing the.
Oh,
yeah.
yep. Okay. I know what you're
Horse
talking about.
pouring, I think.
I know what these things are. I just don't know
Yeah.
the proper names for them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's just so much to do.
So much room for activity.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just look around here, you can see.
I know. You
You
guys
know, we
have
have the trick training, the little that blind is for protection work for puppies, the rainbow ladder, the teeter totter, the jumps, like
Tic tac
the
board.
climb boards, the tic tac board. Like, so we have I don't know if you saw the canine treadmill when you came in.
I know. I saw that. Like,
Yeah.
you run on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for them.
I know. I saw like the list that you have behind you or something like treadmill.
Oh,
is that what
yeah,
that is?
Oh, the
Yeah.
training one?
Yeah.
There you go.
So, yeah, so there's just so much to do, and the pet industry is, particularly dogs and cats, is one of the largest growing industries in the United States.
I believe it.
Especially now that people aren't having kids as early, or they're not having as many kids. Dogs are becoming that centerfold. So just, there's so much that you can do and do it. Get out there and But I mean, I encourage
And finding the right breed that likes the type of sport you want to get into helps too.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's not something you can go to school for it, especially if you want to do more of the behavioral, which is its whole other element. But like, I have a bachelor's in education and a master's in divinity, and this is what I do.
Yeah.
They still come in handy though.
Yeah, they do. And then Jess, she didn't come. College was not for her. College did not work for her.
Yeah.
But the business thrives on the two life experiences.
College degrees don't mean anything. I have a college degree in dietetics and I have never used it. So this happens when you graduate during COVID. Kind of makes things. And my wife actually is a school teacher. So
I mean, I would say the education degree helped me with creating my curriculum.
Yes, I'm sure of that.
Communicating. But just to say, like, that's to say, apprentice more. You can learn how to teach. You may not be great at it, like a natural, but you can learn how to put lesson plans together. But I've watched Jess look in a field and go, that horse is going to lay down in about 10 minutes. And it sure as shit lays down in 10 minutes. I'm like, well, how did you know that? And there's just a different intelligence rolling around in there. So.
All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed it and look forward to the next interview that I do with Jess next.